What's up, everybody? Welcome to the P.O. Vincent podcast here on the River's Edge Online Radio Network. I'm your host, Vincent Didiano, giving you my point of view on movies. And it's a new age, a new time for the P.O. Vincent podcast. In case you missed our live stream on the P.O. Vincent Facebook page, a couple new things to go over. First off, the new human being in the show,
Hello.
Jess. Jess is a friend of mine. She's also a film lover. I think the first film discussion we ever really had was about Midsummer, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, we had a big discussion about that. But she's now going to be the new co-host on the show. And along with her comes the new format. And once again, in case you missed the live stream, which I really recommend you go to the P.O. Vincent Facebook page and check it out, unless I found time to put up on the YouTube channel, which I probably should have. We will still be doing new movie reviews, but those movies will not be every week. They'll be reserved to movies that we have an interest in, a.k.a. fuck off January. Also, the more primary format will be film franchises. Every week we'll release an episode on a YouTube channel as well as our new Spotify channel. So I recommend you go check us out on Spotify. And we will be tackling every episode an installment in whatever franchise we're working on.
Yeah.
And for our first round of franchises, first franchise we're going to tackle, which if you're reading the title of the video or of the podcast, you already know what it is. We're taking a look at one of my childhood favorites, Tremors. Yeah. So now before this, Jess, remind me, what experience had you had with the Tremors franchise before?
So before this, I'd only watched the first one a few times. I hadn't really seen any of the other ones. I didn't know there was a TV series either.
Short-lived TV
Yeah, very
series.
short-lived. Also found out, there's a lot of articles that keep popping up that Kevin Bacon might come back to Tremors if they continue this in the future. So, this could be a franchise that just continues growing.
Yes. Because there was the actual TV series that made it to air that was on Sci-Fi Channel back in the day. That was basically it jumped off from Tremors 3, and we'll talk more about maybe we'll talk a little bit about the show when we get to Tremors 3, or maybe just do a little extra episode on the side. I don't know. We'll decide when we get there. But there was a TV show where the main character in that was Bert, where they went back to perfection, which is the title of the third film, Tremors 3, Back to Perfection. And that only lasted a season, and it was okay. It was fine. It definitely tried to do the spirit of Tremors, and then it was like a year and a half to 2 years ago, they made a pilot for a new Tremors series starring Kevin Bacon.
Okay.
Yes. If you have not seen it, they did release a trailer for it. It is online. Look it up. It's probably somewhere on YouTube. And actually, it looked pretty cool. And the basis for the new show was going to be that, and we'll get into the character, Val has come back to perfection. He's living there, and life did not turn out well. And now the new Tremors are showing up. But anyway, so we'll get to that. We'll get to some of the TV stuff more when we get to Tremors 3. But first, let's talk about the one that started it all, Tremors. Jess, give us the lowdown on Tremors.
All right, so this film was directed by Ron Underwood. It's his first mainstream film, so his first big success. Written by Ron Underwood, S.S. Wilson, and Brent Maddock. Up until this point, these guys hadn't really written a really popular film, but they did go on to write Wild Wild West, which I found very interesting.
Okay.
So Tremors stars Kevin Bacon, Fred Ward, Finn Carter, Ariana Richards, Michael Gross, and Reba McEntire. It's actually Reba's first film. So I found that very interesting. I really like, Reba's not a main character, but I really like her character in this film. I think she kicks a lot of ass.
Oh, totally.
Yeah. So it was filmed in Alabama Hills in Lone Pine, California. So this is the same location that movies like Gladiator and Iron Man and Man of Steel was like the most recent film directed there. So you've definitely seen this area in a few films.
Oh yeah, this is like the Vasquez Rocks of Alabama. Cool. All right. Thank you for the download.
Yeah.
Yes. For those of you not familiar with Tremors movie, the basic plot is two handymen, Val and Earl, played by Kevin Bacon and Fred Ward, are finally going to leave their rinky-dink, small as hell town in the middle of nowhere, bumfuck nowhere.
I think it says the population is 14.
Yeah. Which is maybe another reason why I like this movie is because I was born on the 14th. So maybe a little psychological thing.
Maybe.
I don't know. But anyway, they finally decide, let's get the hell out of here, go to another town, make better lives for ourselves. But when they finally decide to do that, suddenly a string of mysterious murders start to happen in perfection. And before long, they start to realize there are some carnivorous creatures going around starting this. So let's get into this. As I said at the beginning, Tremors is one of my childhood favorites. I've been watching this ever since I was a little kid. I don't think I saw it in theaters. I don't think I did. I think I saw it on TV, probably TNT. I think TNT reran it a lot back in the day.
I think TNT did rerun this movie.
Okay.
Yeah, quite a few times. I think that might be where I saw it for the first time, too.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also go back in the day, when they ran a lot of Godzilla back in the day.
Yeah, they did.
That's a franchise for another time. But anyway, but yeah, I can't tell how many times I've watched it. And one of the things that is unique for me about the Tremors franchise, that it is technically, in a sense, a horror film.
Yeah.
Because we got monsters going around eating people in gruesome ways, but it adds campy fun and adventure to it. And I've said it many times before in other videos and episodes and stuff like that I've never really been a big horror fan. Don't hate horror. It's just not my preferred genre, so I never really watched a lot of horror as a kid. But this, despite the fact that it was, it belongs in the horror genre, it never freaked me out. I enjoyed it. It excited me. The kills were oh my God, but I was never afraid of it. And I think that's because of the humor in the film
The campiness.
and the campiness.
Yeah.
I think that helped me. When I was a kid, I didn't see it as a horror film. To me, as a kid, horror was Jason, Dracula,
Yeah.
stuff like that. So,
No, this definitely pays a lot of homage to late 80s, early 90s camp films.
Yeah. Yeah, purposely though.
Yeah,
It's not
very purposely.
Yeah.
I think it does a very good job of combining sci-fi and horror without being too overly frightening. But the writers, one of the things that they wanted to make more realistic about these monsters, they never really reveal where they come from in this film.
No.
And they did that intentionally so that it seems more realistic that these creatures would just appear out of nowhere and you don't really get to know where they came from because you're too focused on protecting yourself from these creatures.
Yeah. No, the focus is survival. The focus is figuring out what these creatures are and once we do, what can we fucking do about it? Because once again, it's only a small group of people and a lot of them get taken out early on in the film
I think 6 of the 14 people living in perfection die right off the bat.
Yeah. Because we had old Fred.
We had the man and his wife whose names I can't remember.
We'll call him Doctor and Doctor Wife.
Yeah, Doctor and Doctor's wife, which is honestly probably my favorite death scene in this film.
Oh no, it's a
good scene.
Yeah, because it's one of the few. Because the other one's the first guy, the dead guy, they find up on the tower, right?
Yeah, and they have no idea how he got up there or what would make him, because he dies of dehydration, right?
He dies of dehydration. Yes.
So he's up there for a good 3 or 4 days.
Right. And then the next guy was old Fred, and we see the old Fred coming. We know the monsters are coming at him, but we don't actually see the deaths. We kind of see him get pulled off out of frame. But the doctors was the first scene where we actually see we're there with them as it's happening, as they're getting fucking killed.
And we get our first glimpse of these graboids, as they are called.
Yes. And that's one of the great things about what this film does well with the graboids. It builds things up, right? At first, if you don't know what the movie's about, someone just popped it in. At first, you're like, okay, there's some kind of psycho murderer going around or some shit like that. But it builds it up. First, we get the guy on the tower, right? And then we get, then we start to get the idea that there are creatures that are going around. Because Rhonda, one of the other main main characters, she's got her seismology thing going on. She's a student. And we see okay, then one of the creatures almost gets her, but she doesn't know it at first, right? And it builds up and builds up. You got as they say in the film, the 2 poor suckers on the road. And it builds up and builds up, and they're what the fuck is coming at these people? And that's what it does build the tension well until finally we do get that reveal later in the movie of the creatures, and for one one of the great buildups is the snakes. Well,
that Doctor and Doctor's wife death scene where you think you've seen these creatures, but you've only seen part of a bigger creature. Because they come out of the ground. Okay, well, they're coming out of the ground. That's why no one sees them, because until they're on top of you, they're not on top of you, below you, you don't know they're there.
And then we get this, and then Val and Earl find out about the snakes because one gets like tries to grab their car and it gets ripped away. And another great moment of building the tension because Bert, our survival expert gunman, who's married to
Reba.
I don't know what Reba's character's name, but you know why?
We're just gonna call her Reba.
She's Reba.
Yeah.
She transcends her character. Okay. And then he points out because they find out these creatures ate a whole flock of sheep, and Bert's like, just one of these things could have killed a man and an entire flock of sheep. And you're like, oh, it's not just one creature, it's multiple. There's a bunch of snake things.
And because they think they're so small at the beginning, they think there's probably hundreds of thousands of these things. Yeah. So it's a very unknown for a good portion of the movie. I really like that build-up.
Yeah. No, it's good. And then finally we get the reveal. I just realized we're talking more about the monsters than the actual characters, but we'll get around to the characters because I just love these. Like I love the graboids.
They're a really good creature, and it's really astounding to me. I read in my research that they made only like one full model of the graboid. They had like partial models, and there's some puppetry involved, which is just there's no CGI. No. This is before the day and age of CGI. So it's
before the day and age of solid CGI, because we had like the last Starfighter, which was revolutionary for its time, but not exactly the most realistic looking graphics.
I just call that era like the old school Doctor Who sci-fi era, because that's what CGI was like for a while there.
We'll do some rear screen projections. We'll say the aluminum foil space metal.
Yeah. Like this ship is definitely made of foil. Yeah. But that's okay.
Yeah. But yeah, then we finally we get the reveal of the graboids because they're coming at Val and Earl, our main characters, who are riding on horseback to try to get to the next town and get help. And then their horses get eaten, and they're like, "Oh, that's when they realize, oh, these things come out of the damn ground." They see the snakes, but then they're like, they start shooting at them, and boom, boom. But then the ground swells up, and they're like, there must be 1 million of them, and then boom, this giant carnivorous motherfucker whale worm thing pops out of the ground, and you're like, and then the snakes come out of its mouth, and you realize, oh, they're these tentacle tongue things that come out.
This isn't going to be the first time I mention SpongeBob with this film, but again, back to that episode with the sea worm that attacks Bikini Bottom. Oh. I genuinely think that episode is based on this film. The more we talk about the graboids, there's a lot of references, like when Patrick thinks that he's caught this worm, and then they look behind him and it's this giant worm. Like, oh, this is the tongue, and that's the whole thing. Like. Yeah,
I would hope so. If either of us ever get a chance to meet the SpongeBob people, we got to ask them.
I'm going to ask them. Totally is this episode about Tremors?
Yeah. Did you guys want to do a Tremors episode?
Is that what it is?
Be honest with us. It's okay. It's good to love Tremors. Anyway.
Yeah.
But then another thing that's good about this movie is as you point out, they don't explain the origins, where they come from, but they do explain their anatomy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Rhonda is there studying, the
seismology.
Yes, thank you. A word I can barely pronounce.
It's a tough one.
And from the very beginning, she's getting these off the chart readings, and she asks Val and Earl, is anyone drilling nearby because of the way that the ground is vibrating and the things that she's recording. And here it's these graboids underneath the ground that she's actually recording, and she gets a glimpse of the corpse of one, I believe. And yes. She makes a lot of really good valid points about the anatomy. Like, they don't have eyes. Yeah. I think she compares them to moles at some point, like the way that they tunnel.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. And a lot of their anatomy makes sense. One thing she points out is how they move so quickly under the dirt is that their body is covered in these spikes, and these spikes apparently have muscles allowing them to move, and they kind of like push through the dirt. So they're kind of like, in a way, like a claw. Their whole body is clawing their way through the dirt, allowing them to move through the dirt very easily. And, they figured out, oh, these things hunt by sound because they can't smell or see through the ground. Other things they point out. And in general, I just like the actual physical design. I don't know why they did it, but I approve it. These creatures have these weird almost like beaks on them, which I assume is kind of like a penetrating factor for them.
I think so.
I don't know what's the dirt form of aerodynamic, gravel dynamic?
Dirt dynamics.
There's probably some technical term. Somebody who knows dirt, tell us in the comments.
What the term actually is.
Terran dynamic? I don't know.
Maybe. I don't know.
But yeah, they got these beaks, and like the top part is like kind of like a normal beak almost, and then the bottom's like these three like small like flange beaks, and that gives them a unique look. And of course, the way like their tentacles pop out as like these tongues that grab out like like a reverse fishing hook. Instead of coming down, they come up and grab you. The fact that they smell, that apparently they smell worse alive than they do when they're dead.
Yeah, there's a lot of descriptions that give you a sense of what this creature would actually be like if you found it.
Yeah.
Like what it smells like and how grotesque it is.
Yeah. And but they also point out, weaknesses. Like for instance, even though it can move through dirt, it cannot move through rock. And there's multiple points in the film where we see people like up on like boulders and rocks that line the valley floor, so they can at least have a place to rest and try to figure out what to do next. So yeah, the graboids. I think they're a great movie monster. And once again, because I've been watching this movie since I was a kid, maybe I'm biased. Maybe I'm biased about it. I love them. But I honestly think the graboids deserve a little more respect for their design because they're such a very different and unique kind of creature.
Yeah.
I mean, once again, maybe I'm biased, but for me, it's like for me personally, it's up there with the Predator. I know that's
definitely within the context of when this movie was released and how far we've come now with graphics, given what they were working with. I think they did an exceptional job with these creatures.
Yeah. And like you mentioned earlier, only had one full-size animatronic model.
Yeah.
The whole time, I've been watching this movie for years. I thought they had at least two of them, but
yeah.
But then again,
so how many people it took to move this thing across the desert?
Oh my God!
Multiple different locations.
It's like the dirt version of Jaws because I'm sure you've heard when they were filming Jaws, it was a pain. The mechanical shark called Bruce, which is getting an homage in Finding Nemo. It was a pain in the ass because it kept breaking down in the middle of the fucking ocean when they were filming. So, because there is a scene where you can tell that they must have dug underground like puppetry places because there's that point at the end towards the end of the movie where you see Kevin Bacon take off, and when he starts to take off running, he plays his first step, and you see the ground kind of shake a little bit. So, yeah, they must have really dug these large holes to put this, impressive puppet down in there. So it must have been blazing underground.
Oh, yeah, I can't imagine.
Oh, God.
I'm complaining about the heat now.
Yeah. Oh, fuck. Yeah. Woo!
Yeah, at least I don't have that job.
Yeah. But anyway, so we've talked a ton about the graboids. Once again, some of my favorite movie monsters, But let's talk about the humans, the people that drive the story. So let's first start off with Val and Earl, played by Kevin Bacon and Fred Ward. Jess, what do you want to say first about them?
So I think it was really interesting for me to see Kevin Bacon in this film because I'm really used to, like, I've seen Footloose a ton. Yeah. I'm used to seeing Kevin Bacon as a certain type of hero, and he's still very much a hero in this film, but he is a much grungier, kind of a jerk in the very begining of this movie.
He's Mr. Cowboy who thinks he's hot stuff.
I guess
all the ladies love me.
Jerk isn't really the right word.
Yeah. He's a little conceited.
Very conceited, has a very strong opinion on what his type of woman should be. Because when Val and Earl are driving to see they want to see what Rhonda looks like in the beginning of the film. And Val says something like, please have blonde hair, big tits, and legs that go for miles or something. And
an ass that won't quit.
Yes. And then they get there and Rhonda is attractive, but very much the opposite of that.
Yeah. She's wearing like shorts, like not sexy,
comfortable.
Yeah, comfortable shorts. She's got some sunscreen on her nose. Her nose is all wide. She's wearing like a hat to keep the sun out of her eyes. She's wearing work clothes, and she's a nerdy type. She's a nerd, which leads to some good moments in the film where, because she's the smartest person in the whole valley, people keep asking her questions that she doesn't have the answer to. Yeah. And even when she tells them she doesn't have an answer,
they don't understand what she's saying.
Yeah. So they're simple country folk. We don't understand science words.
But it's true, and a lot of the actors play these characters so well that you very much believe this is a little podunk town in the middle of nowhere, that people aren't very aware of what goes on outside of town.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the relationship between Val and Earl. I think Fred Ward and Kevin Bacon do have chemistry. They have they're like friends. We don't know how long they've been friends. It's indicated that they must be friends for a very long time. The fact that they work together,
Yeah.
they share a truck, they share a trailer.
Kind of brotherly. I would say that
Yes.
that Fred Ward is more of the like older brother type. I don't know. They're we're not given we're not given ages is what I meant.
Yeah.
We're not given ages, but I very much get the sense that Fred Ward is more of the mature brother in this
Yes,
relationship. Tries to give Val a little more structure. I know at the beginning he keeps telling Val, you can't just take these jobs as they come. Like we need to build a schedule so that we can go do certain things on certain days. So it's really good chemistry between the two of them. Yeah.
Oh, totally. And I love all the multiple moments of how are we going to, okay, you or me, rock, paper, scissors. Like multiple rock,
like
paper,
which one
scissors.
of us is going to go potentially sacrifice herself.
Which one's going to climb the tower? Which one gets the gun? Lots of cool little, that's like continuous thing throughout the movie.
Yeah, there's a lot of teamwork between them to get things done.
And it's another like little thing that's set up to pay off later because like the last time they do it is the sacrifice moment where like Fred Earl wins the right because to go run to try to get this cat the bulldozer, and Val being like the heroic type that doesn't want his friend to die knocks him in the gut.
He just knocks him in the gut and runs.
Yeah. So Val and Earl are good duo hero types, and each one of them, add stuff, come up with ideas here and there on how to defeat the graboids. Let's talk about Rhonda. Rhonda, she is mostly there to be the brains. So
she's the brains.
Figure certain things out, point stuff out that people haven't exactly figured out yet.
She is that summer's student. From what I gather,
intern.
There's like
at the local university.
They let students come in and study the terrain and different aspects of the town. So she's there studying her seismograph, and from the very beginning realizes that there's something going on, but she doesn't know what. She at first asks Val and Earl, "Is anyone drilling in the area? Anyone blowing something up that I could be getting these readings?" And Val and Earl, they tell her they don't know of anyone doing anything.
Yeah,
so
and they definitely would have heard of because it's kind of hard to miss it. There's multiple other characters. We got Melvin, the punk ass teenage boy who keeps playing pranks. He's just a pain in the ass, mostly because he's the only teenager in this small blinky town. Like he has no friends, so it kind of makes sense that he's being an ass.
Now when you put it that way, I like him a little more. I really didn't like him.
Well, yeah, but his actor plays him real jerky.
No, his actor does play him very well because I think you're supposed to be frustrated with him.
Yeah, you're definitely supposed to be frustrated because there's a serious situation going on and he's just to take advantage to piss people off. So
he is literally the boy that cries wolf.
Yes.
To a T, because that is the actual scenario that he finds himself in, where he keeps pretending that he's being attacked, and then lo and behold, he's attacked.
Yeah.
So. That was fun to see at least a little bit of a payoff.
Yeah.
He's not harmed, but
spooked
enough to make him behave.
He gets his pants ripped, and I think it gets cut a little bit on his leg, but that's not serious injury. Like he can walk and stuff like that.
Lesson learned, maybe.
Yes. And the lesson wasn't learned that his dad is eaten like 10 minutes later.
Oh yeah. Unfortunately.
Bye, Nestor.
Sorry.
Thanks for playing the stereotypical hick. You did your job. But then we got. It's Miguel, right?
Yes.
Miguel. We got Miguel. He's like, he comes up. He comes up with. He's helpful. He doesn't.
He's the store owner, right?
No, that's Wong.
Okay.
Wong or Wang? No, Wong.
Wong.
Yeah, Wong.
Okay.
Who's the guy who names the grab boys because he wants to name them because he's like an opportunist. He's trying to make a quick buck.
Yeah, he's like trying to sell photo opportunities with the one-tongue snake thing that they've caught.
Yeah. And he comes up in movie number 2, which we'll talk about there. He gets mentioned in movie number 2. So we'll get there when we get there. But then there is Miguel who really doesn't contribute a lot except for he is helpful, but he helps when he can. He doesn't contribute much to the plot. He's just he's a supporting character. But and then you got Nancy and Nancy's daughter, who I forget the name of.
I can't remember.
But it's the little girl from Jurassic Park.
And she's always jumping on a pogo stick.
Yes,
always.
That's her thing, a pogo stick, which is I want to talk about that now, but we got to finish off the round of characters
Okay.
but I want to stay a little focused here. But yeah, the pogo stick is something to set up, and then we have Bert and Reba. Once again, I can't remember what Reba's character is. It doesn't matter because she's Reba.
Reba.
Yeah. She's got Bert, who are two survival experts. So they're gun nuts. But because we're in a monster movie, gun nuts are proven to be helpful.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
And they do prove very helpful in this film.
Yeah. And
they're very kick-ass.
And that's not me shitting on people who own guns. When I mean they're gun nuts, I mean they are gun nuts. They are nutty fanatics about guns.
Like, I think they have a lot of guns.
They have more guns than they need.
I was like, maybe 100 guns? That's a lot.
Yeah, and we'll get to but it leads to one of the best scenes in the movie. We'll get to that. But they're fun because they're on edge survival experts. It's like, we need to fortify. Everybody should have a gun. Your guns should have guns. We gotta get ready for these monsters. But no, they lead to a fun scene. We'll get into in a minute. But one of the things I do want to bring up, which is what I was trying to bring up earlier, was the pogo stick. I love how this movie, everything is set up properly. If it's like the classic film example, like if you acknowledge a gun in the beginning of the movie, that gun has to do something later. Stuff like that, because we have the bulldozer that's used later in the film.
We have the pogo stick.
We got the pogo stick. We have the final scene of the final confrontation of the movie is where we start the movie, where we see
on the cliff.
Kevin Bacon taking a piss off the cliff, which is, you would think that would not be the start to a good movie, but it was.
It was.
Yeah.
Great foreshadowing.
Yeah, we got the bulldozer. We have the soda machine in the store where like it starts like once a day, and that plays and stuff. We have planning in the beginning of the movie. Earl's like, we need to have a plan. We need to come up with a plan.
Yeah,
and planning
is a big theme in this film.
And that's one of the things that show that Earl and Val are intelligent in their own way because they're very good on their feet. They're very quick-witted. Which plays into them being handyman. Sometimes when you're a handyman, shit comes up, you don't know what's going to happen, so you got to come in. So that plays into it, and that's I really love that. So many things are set up, paid off. Very nice. And
it also sets up the cast to become a team.
Yeah.
Val and Earl are very much the main protagonists of this film, but there's not really a chance for them if they hadn't pulled together with everyone else.
Right.
So that's very neat to see as well.
Yes. Yeah. No, it's good. So let's get into what's one of probably my favorite scene in the whole movie. One of my favorite scenes, I'll say. The scene where Bert and Reba finally get in on the action.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God. Do you want to start it off?
Yeah. So up until this point in the film, Reba and Bert were off trying to find Rhonda. They're trying to get help. Yeah. So while they've been gone, Val, Earl, and Rhonda have faced off with a few graboids. They've discovered that they can't go through rock, and they're all held up on the roofs of buildings in the town because these creatures can't get up on the roofs. So they don't really know where Bert and Reba are until Bert and Reba get back home.
Yeah.
And they're trying to reach each other through is it like a radio?
Yeah, they all have CB radios because the phone lines are down.
Right. So they're using their radio, and Val and Earl are trying to warn Bert and Reba that these creatures are headed right for them because the graboids can hear vibrations. So they hear Bert and Reba getting out of their car and moving things around. So these creatures head straight for them. And there's this epic scene where Bert and Reba are like in their, what I want to say is a basement, but it's not. It's like their survival room. Yeah. And they're like checking their, like how many bullets they have. And they're getting ready. And as they're preparing, this graboid just bursts through the wall of their survival room. And they have to stand their ground. And this is the scene where you get to see all of their guns. Yeah. Because they have a whole wall.
Oh, yeah. That's the best reveal of the movie. Because they're just firing their, like, rifles and, like stuff
the guns that they had on them.
And then it's just, like, and then, like, the back and forth between them shooting and the shot of the graboid, back and forth. All of a sudden, the camera, like, pans back and reveals an entire wall of guns.
And ammo.
Like, all kinds of guns. Yeah. Pistols, rifles, shotguns. They didn't put a fucking flare gun on. I don't know why they need a flare gun. But
Yeah, they have a flare gun. They have an elephant gun. They use both of these, and that's ultimately how they end up killing the graboid.
Yeah, it's a fun. Yeah, I mean,
it's such a fun scene because we talked before about there being a lot of puppetry. This is definitely a scene with some puppetry.
Yeah, very good puppetry because like the miniatures work well too. I can't tell that they're miniatures in this scene. It's very well done. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just and the crazy thing about it's so simple. They're in a basement. Monster in front of them firing. And there's not like they're not jumping around Matrix style. It's just two people
shooting at a monster.
And it's just crazy good. It's so simple and it's just so well executed. And I remember when I was a kid because they finally finish it off with the elephant gun because it's got like these huge fucking rounds on them. I remember when I was a kid, I was like, I've never been really a gun guy, but I was like, I want that fucking gun. I want the gun that can kill a graboid.
Right?
Give me that
defend
gun.
against a graboid. Yeah. I want it. Thank you.
8-year-old me probably been thrown on his ass if he fired a damn thing.
Yeah, I feel like that would knock me backwards.
Oh God, it would have been like in a movie. Like I go back flying 10 fucking feet. Like, oh God, it's not like in Power Rangers. Oh my God. But yeah. So God, yeah, great scene. Oh man. So with the addition of, and as you were mentioning, they're coming together a team, and it's with the addition of Bert and Reba joining the rest of the citizens, and now they're a united team when things reach the next level because now they come up with the idea to get the bulldozer, attach the tractor, the old beat up tractor trailer to it because the graboids are now destroying the foundations of the building, so they're gonna hit the floor sooner or later.
Yeah, as this movie progresses, you get to see that the graboids are intelligent and they're learning. So at one point, while all of these townsfolk are on the roofs, one of the monsters keeps kind of sliding up the side of buildings. Yeah. Like he's measuring to see what it's going to take to level these buildings. And then at one point, I think 3 of them all at once start attacking the buildings. And you watch these buildings start to, the foundation of them really start to sway. And
the roofs are starting to come down.
It's like an earthquake.
Yeah.
And so, everybody comes up with this idea that they're going to take this bulldozer and they're going to head for the mountains because the mountains are made of rock, therefore potentially safe. So that's their plan.
Yeah, and the graboids, they can't go through the mountains and they can't go under the mountains because they do establish that the valley floor has a loose type of soil to it, so they can't go too deep. They can only go several feet under the ground before they start to hit dirt that they cannot penetrate. Right. So as long as they can get up and over the mountains, they're good. And they all get in the trailer. They're moving forward, and as you pointed out, the graboids more and more show that they're intelligent. They're learning creatures. I would compare them somewhat to the velociraptors from the Jurassic Park franchise.
I think that's a very good comparison.
Which makes them very dangerous because it just makes them better monsters.
Because as they're going up the mountain, they get Bert and Reba. These graboids have actually set a trap for them. And the bulldozer drives into this big sand pit that these creatures dug as a trap, and they get stuck there. So the townspeople end up running towards these giant boulders that they can reach. Yeah, because the boulders are safe.
Yeah, and plus Bert and Reba made homemade dynamite sticks, and they throw one, and because it's a legit explosion, it's so loud that it hurts their hearing, and the graboids got like they're fucking scrammed. So they use this opportunity to make it to the rocks.
It's a good diversion.
Yeah, but then they realize, they're stuck in the rocks. There's nowhere to go. They can't go back to the town. It's too far to the mountains.
They're just stuck.
Yeah, they don't have it's pointed out what if we keep using the bombs? It's no, the mountains are still a few miles away. That we need a ton of those bombs to make it. So frustrations start to build. Of course, Bird is the first one to get frustrated. Val and Earl get in his face. Reba reassures him, a funny little moment because Reba's like, I know they know everything, a tension-filled moment, but we get a little bit of that campy comedy that makes this movie so
Reba's
good.
humor and charm shines through.
Reba. Anyway, but then they get the idea of how to finally finish off the graboids when it comes to, Bert has a scene where he says, if it comes to starvation, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to grab this bomb, light the fuse, walk all the way out there, and let them take me down. Boom.
And I think Earl says that's not a bad idea.
Yeah. And Val laughs.
And then they realize that's not a bad idea, but we don't have to send anyone out there. Yeah. We can figure out a way to create a diversion. Yeah. And I think they end up attaching the homemade dynamite to a rope.
Yeah.
And they go fishing, so to speak.
Yeah. They put on end of a long rope and they swing it out there like fishing, like you're casting your line, and then they pull it back little by little so it's rustling against the ground. Graboid comes up, swallows it. A few seconds later, boom!
Yep.
And it goes boom, and Graboid guts go flying everywhere.
Yeah. It's like those photos of when whales explode on the on the beach. Like, I don't know if anyone ever saw that.
Right. It wasn't the bomb. The Graboids were just gassy.
Yeah, they were just exactly. But no, it gets everywhere. Everyone's covered in goo, but they're all right with it because they succeeded in killing a Graboid. Yeah.
But then they come down to the last Graboid, the Graboid that Val has nicknamed Stumpy because it's the one that got its one tentacle ripped out.
Mm-hmm. The smart one. They also refer to this one as the smart one.
Yeah, it is the smartest of the Graboids. Though. Yeah, they're all smart, but this one's definitely the smart. And in a way, kind of the main villain, even though like all the Graboids
like
are
the leader of the pack.
The leader of the pack.
If they are a pack.
Yeah, if they are a pack.
I don't know the technical term for a group of Graboids.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
Right? It's hard. If you can come up with a really good word, let us know in the comments.
What's like a big
I always want to say clouder, but that's just because I like cats. That just shows you.
Well, what's a big word for grab? Like an embrace of Graboids?
An embrace of Graboids. I like that.
Yeah, there we go.
Makes them sound warm and fuzzy, which they are not.
Hashtag embrace Graboids. There you go. Oh, if that takes off, I'm going to laugh my ass off.
There you go.
Gets around to some Graboid cult thread. I don't know.
Next year, they'll be selling Graboid plushies like Baby Yoda and Toys R Us.
It's like that. It's like that one meme of the shark was just like, I just want to hug you, but it's a Graboid now.
I'm down.
Yeah. All right, we've made something special here. Okay. But yeah, no, I like how they set this one up as like the smart one, the one that has that had the most interaction with Val and Earl. It's a good to save like this one's more important than the other ones.
Yeah, it's the big bad.
Yeah. So they try the same techniques, throw the rope, but because he's a smart one, he spits the bomb back out. It goes flying like 50 feet through the air,
landing on the dynamite.
Lands on the remaining dynamites. They all go the fuck off. Everyone spreads out. But Val, Earl, and Rhonda are out. They ran hard. They're trying to run back, but no, Stumpy's right in front of them. Like, no, motherfuckers, I'm gonna get you.
Yeah,
I'm gonna get all you motherfuckers. I don't know why he talks like that, but that's how he sounds.
That's probably what he sounds like.
Yeah. But then they're like, what do we do? But then he plays like kind of a play, almost like a play possum kind of thing. He goes back down the ground, like, because they stand still, and then like Earl tries to go for him, like Val's like, nah.
No. He's trying to trick us.
He's trying to trick us. So Val like takes off, and Earl's like, what the fuck are you doing? He's like, I have a plan.
I'm going for it, whatever it is.
Yeah. They're running off. Rhonda starts running with it because she's got the lighter for the fuse, and they're running. They make it to the edge of the cliff, and they're like, throw the bomb. He's like, not yet. And he like rips the fuse so it's even shorter, and then like, now light it. And he chucks the bomb. It goes past the Graboid. Right? It goes off. The Graboid comes flying harder at them now because it's hurt by the sound of the explosion. Rhonda and Earl like, fuck you, Val, and they get the fuck out.
Yeah. And Val just keeps running towards the end of this cliff.
Yeah.
And essentially plays this like really wonderful game of chicken.
Yeah.
With this creature. Yeah. And gets it to run off the cliff.
Yeah. The best way to play chicken is not to have the other person know you're playing chicken. Because that's what the fuck happened. Yeah. So that he dodges out of the way at the last second so he doesn't get hit by the Graboid. And Graboid comes out the side of the cliff, falls screaming like, and then splatters on the ground underneath on a bunch of rocks. It's a glorious splatter. It's great. It's fucking great. And this is another setup because in the beginning of the film, Val pranks Earl. They're thinking that stampede has happened, and they're both looking at him like, "Where did you come up with that idea?" He's just like, "Well, it just hit me." Stampede. So many good things set up in this film that are paid off.
They do.
Oh, it's so nice. I love it.
And again, this final ending of the Graboid, shout out back to the SpongeBob episode. I really think that they stole a lot of ideas.
Oh, is that how that episode
That
ends?
is exactly how they defeat the giant sea worm in SpongeBob. They get it to run off a cliff.
Even though
they're like, we're gonna move the town. And they're moving the town, and then SpongeBob gets this thing off the cliff, and it ends up falling onto Bikini Bottom because they moved the town underneath the cliff. It's really funny, but definitely, again, I think that SpongeBob was stealing some stuff from this movie.
Man, you see, I was never like, I wasn't a hater, but I never got into SpongeBob. Now I wish I did, just so I'd seen this episode.
I feel like watching episodes as an adult, I catch so many more subtle references to pop culture, like this one.
Oh, the shit they put in cartoons back when we were like, especially like when like I'm talking like early '90s stuff.
Oh yeah,
there's really a scene in an episode of Rugrats where Grandpa is literally saying, "I bought myself porn for when you guys are asleep."
Yeah.
Like when I was a kid,
that's a joke for adults.
Yeah, like little stuff. There's Dalek toys in another episode of Rugrats. Sorry, I was like, I was watching.
Yeah, there is.
I was watching a Rugrats video a while back. So, but anyway, back to giant carnivorous worms. But yeah, no, the shit. Ren and Stimpy was a kid. Anyway, back on track.
Back to giant carnivorous worms.
Yeah. So the movie ends. Everyone, goes back to the town. The police come in from Bixby. I think it's the bigger town they talk about.
Yeah, the town next door that's just larger.
Val and Rhonda kiss each other and all that stuff because like, they had like a little romance going on over the course of the film where he was like, respecting her more and more and just being a gentleman.
It's because she's smarter than him.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
She's probably smarter than everybody in that town.
I mean, probably.
Yeah.
There are different kinds of intelligence.
Yes. Like I point out, Val and Earl are good on their feet.
They're very good with their hands and very good on their feet. Yeah, they're quick to think.
Yeah, and even Bert and Reba, they're not shown to be unintelligent because they
just have different strengths. And again, it's very much a team effort in the end.
Yeah.
And I don't think that any one character could have defeated these creatures on their own.
Oh, hell no.
No, you would just die trying. And that's just a fact.
Yeah. That'd be some Gary and Mary Stu shit right there.
Yeah.
Oh, my. That'd be the most horrible. That'd be the craziest. Like, they may say, well, it's just one person fighting like 7 graboids. That'd be the craziest shit.
It's just Ash from the Evil Dead.
It's
like the only character.
He just lets each one of them eat them, and then he saws his way out of each one.
Yeah, exactly.
Whatever. He fights demons. He can do it. But anyway, Tremors. Once again, I love this movie. Jess.
It's a good movie.
It's a good movie.
I'm really excited to continue on with the rest of the series because this is the one that I spent the most time with and have watched the most.
Yeah.
So it's going to be really interesting as we move forward. And, we didn't find out where these creatures come from. It's very vague. So I'm hoping for a lot more information in the future. Yeah. I'm very interested to see where this goes.
Yeah. I've seen all the films except for the 6th one, which was the last one they made.
The most recent one?
Yeah, the most recent one.
Yeah.
I've seen all the other ones at least once at some point. The second one I've seen the most after the first one, and the third. 4th, I only saw the one time. Same thing for the 5th. But, we'll get to them because I'm sure because I haven't seen some of them in a long time. I'm sure I'll be like, oh, yeah, that happened. Mm-hmm. But no, I mean, the first one is the only one that was a feature release. Everything else was straight to home video or
it's
TV.
It's also the only one with Kevin Bacon in it, right?
The only one with Kevin Bacon, yeah. The TV's, spoiler alert, Kevin Bacon was busy doing feature releases.
Oops. But there are a lot of recurring characters aside from Val.
Yes.
Earl comes back. Bert comes back.
Yeah. In the third one, a lot of the cast from the original come back because in the third one, it's back in the small town of perfection. Mm-hmm. The TV series, the first one I was talking about earlier, the actor who plays Bert, I forget his name. My bad. I'm stupid.
I think it's Michael Gross.
Yes.
Okay.
Fuck.
Michael's Gross.
I can never remember his name. I don't know why, because I've watched this man so many times through these movies. But he comes back in the TV series. He's the only one because they recast everybody for that TV show. What? We'll get to that when we get to that. But anyway, that's me skipping ahead. Look at dumbass. Anyway, so I love this film. I mean, fun characters, good script, good special effects, cool monsters. All around just a solid film. And it's a shame that it never went on to be more of a bigger franchise. I mean, it is a franchise. I'm talking about like feature releases instead of just this home video stuff.
I would hope that if they do, if any rumor among the mill is true and they do bring this back, I would hope that it gets a big release.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
And it probably would, especially if they bring back Kevin Bacon. It would definitely have a big release.
Oh yeah, totally. I mean, he's Kevin Bacon. Everyone loves seeing Kevin Bacon.
They do. Yeah. It's true.
Yeah, and he was making that little comeback for a while. Like he was in X-Men First Class.
He's in a new horror film right now. I can't remember the name of it, but I know that it's about a house where one of the rooms...
shouldn't have come here?
Yeah.
Or you shouldn't have stayed?
Yeah, something like that. He and his family move into this house where one of the rooms is like several feet larger on the inside, but not on the outside. And that's impossible. And it's a very vague trailer, but it's very much a haunted house film. Is what I'm gathering from it. Yeah.
Oh man. But anyway, so I think anything else you want to throw in there, Jess? Are you good?
I think I'm good.
Yeah. I think I'm good too. I mean, I think we said everything without getting really, really detailed and nitpicky, which that's not what I want this show to be about. Unless it's something that particularly interests us. But yeah, that's Graboids. Tremors.
Graboids, the movie.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? On that note, I did remember one thing. Did you know that they almost named this movie Land Shark?
Oh yeah, I remember. Yeah.
So they almost named Tremors Land Shark, but they couldn't because Saturday Night Live was already doing their Jaws spoof, Land Shark.
Right.
And they didn't want any confusion, or maybe Saturday Night Live wouldn't let them name it.
Lorne Michaels heard about that. And he was
he's like, no, can't do that. We're going to copyright that. Sorry.
That's for my show only.
I can see him doing that.
Oops. Here we go. No. But anyway, yeah. So that is it for our review of Tremors. Please keep an eye out for the next episode when we will be tackling the sequel, Tremors 2 Aftershocks. I'm excited for that one. If you do want to check out the Tremors franchise, all of them are currently up on Netflix.
Mm-hmm. That's how I've been watching them.
Yeah. Or you can be a goof like me and buy the DVD box set, which is what I did.
You can rent movies on YouTube now.
Yes.
Yeah. Huge fan of that.
I'm sure it's up on YouTube. So much shit is on YouTube.
But it's probably on YouTube.
But go check it out. Check it out. Tell us what you thought about the movie. Let us know. Do you think we have a good perspective on it? Do you disagree? Agree? Let us know. Always want to hear back from people, especially movie lovers.
Yeah.
We will see you next time. Don't forget to check us out on Spotify, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, wherever you're listening to us. We got plenty of places. And we will check you guys out next time.
Yeah.
Take it easy.
See you guys.